Hello everyone. Welcome to my draft analysis video for the GWA, the proper league this time, not the little low tier thing, though I will totally be doing that again if and when we do it. This video is definitely late. I'm actually recording this after my week 1 battle and right before my week 2 battle, but I was trying to get a hold of things to make video look better, so it isn't just me staring at Showdown the whole time. So hopefully that pays off. Regardless, though, let me start introducing you to my team. I decided for this one I wanted to go kind of back to what worked well for me in the Paragon Draft League. I kind of had more of like a bulky offense thing sort of going, and then in my last couple leagues, like I had a hyper offense in the CDC, and I had whatever my team was for low tier. So I decided to go kind of more in that like very bulky direction again. So that being said, my very first mon was Kirim. Technically it was originally Roaring Moon, but I sniped one of my friends that was like literally right after me, and I felt bad. And then I saw Kirim and was like, you know what? If you pick up Kirim for me, I'll trade you the Roaring Moon afterwards. So it worked out. Was it a good trade? I don't know. Especially because this is a league where we can Terra multiple things. Probably should have explained the rules. We can have one high tier Terra from the 19 to 20 point range. Again, with a few exceptions, like the Yoshifu's can't and stuff like that. We could have one from the mid tier range, which is 14 to 10, and then two from like 9 and below. So I'll introduce those as we go, obviously. But I did not decide to Terra Kirim. I would have Terra'd Roaring Moon, obviously. But for Kirim, I don't really think he needs it. Terra Ground might have been nice to have a physical ground move, but overall, it's still a Kirim. You know, it's going to be able to break on either side. It's very versatile. It's still very, very bulky with respectable speed. So I can do like Dragon Dance things. I can do choice things. I can do really just all kinds of things. And you know me, I love my absolutely crazy versatile mons. So with that being said, my second pick was Necrozma. And if we want to talk about crazy versatility, that's Necrozma right here. I mean, this mon can be physical, it can be special, it can be bulky, it can be screens, it can be a rock setter, it can be Trick Room if I really wanted to. Necrozma just does so many things. And I decided to make this my high tier Terra captain. It is Terra Psychic and Steel. It had to be one stab type, one non-stab type. I was tempted to go something like Fairy as well, but I kind of really wanted Steel. A, so I can't be toxic, and B, the Steel typing, you know, is already crazy good defensively. And with Prism Armor, I take less damage from super effective attacks anyway, so it just makes Necrozma even harder to bring down. And I liked its kind of synergy with Kirim, because they're both pretty bulky, and they can both attack from either side of the spectrum. So having both of them is just kind of like almost wild cards each week, I think is going to be really, really fun and really, really strong. Now for my mid-tier Terramon, I decided I really needed something that could just be like a defensive stopgap to all of these crazy things running around. You know, when we have all of these like insane 20, or not 20 point, but like, you know, 19, 18, 17 point Terramons that are just super strong, setting up and tearing through teams. I decided Skeledirge was the perfect answer. Skeledirge, obviously with Unaware, I am running Terra Fire, Terra Water, Terra Fairy. I might change that to Terra Ghost at some point. I'm not really sure. I wasn't really sure which stab I wanted, to be honest. But for the time being, it's Fire, Water, Fairy. Obviously, everyone knows what Skeledirge does by now. It is a beautiful, beautiful defensive mon that can still hit pretty darn hard. It has Unaware, so it can be a hard stop to all of your opponent's setup mons. It has some really cool new tools as well, with like Alluring Voice and with Scorching Sands after the DLC and things like that. So it is, I think it's just going to be a really, really solid team member that's probably going to show up every single week, just as my kind of defensive crutch, really. So now, if you kind of look at my first few mons, I really did not appreciate Dark and Ghost moves being thrown at me. So I decided I needed something that could handle that, as well as something else that could bring rocks, because obviously I don't really want Necrozma to be my rocker for most games. I'd rather it do, you know, Necrozma things, rather it be offensive, be a threat. So we grabbed Ting Lu. Ting Lu is able to be basically everything I just said. It's a very, very good hazard mon. It is a very, very good dark and ghost resist. And on top of that, it is my ground type for the team. Plus, you know, it's Ting Lu. It's got insane defensive stats, 155 HP, 125 defense, 80 special defense. It is very, very hard to take out a Ting Lu in one hit. Basically guaranteeing it's going to get rocks up, or it's going to get a spike up, or it's going to be able to whirlwind. And on top of that, with its really respectable 110 attack stat, it can still do some big, big damage. And it just has beautiful synergy defensively with my Skeletors, which I really, really like. So they do kind of leave a bit of a hole where ground types a strong ground type could still be an issue, because like obviously Ting Lu can eat a hit, but it's not going to do a huge amount back. And I could always Terra Water with Skeletors, but at that point, I don't want to be Terraing just to avoid a ground move. I'd rather save it for, you know, if I actually need it. So next up, I decided to grab Wheezing Galar. Now, it's not going to be my only ground resist, or ground immunity, of course, because, quite frankly, Wheezing being stuck into Levitate every week does suck when you have such beautiful abilities as Misty Surge and, I forgot the name, Neutralizing Gas sitting around. Both very, very good abilities as well. On top of that, it gives me Toxic Spikes, it gives me my first Defogger as well, which is very good, because I had no hazard removal beforehand. And on top of that, it just has a very nice defensive profile to play around with beside my Skeletors or my Ting Lu. They all cover each other pretty darn well. This also gives me Will-O-Wisp support, it gives me Toxic Spikes, it gives me Toxic. You know, there's a lot of annoying things I can do with Wheezing. Especially because it has Pain Split now, thanks to the DLC. It once again has Pain Split. That is very, very nice. Of course, Clear Smog and things like that as well, Curse Sets. Lots you can do with Wheezing, especially in a draft environment when you kind of know what you're going to be up against. You can really prep it in different ways than you normally would. So I'm very, very excited for that. Next up, I noticed I lacked a water type at the moment, so I definitely wanted to pick something up to continue that Fire, Water, Grass core. And while there are lots and lots and lots of good bulky water types this gen, like you are. If you ever play draft, you are spoiled for choice when it comes to good water types. But I decided I wanted to try another returning mon in Suicune. Obviously, Suicune's been around for a long time. Anyone who knows Pokemon knows what Suicune does. Really, really bulky water type, can set up with Calm Mind. Sadly, I think it lost Scald, if I'm not mistaken. I know it does have Scald. I'm just lying. Never mind. But yeah, it can Scald. I can't talk. Oh my goodness. It can phase. It can, be a haze set. It can be a Calm Mind set with like Scald and Ice Beam or Weather Ball or something. It also gets Trailblaze now, which is kind of cool. So I could be like a bulky setup one that can also boost my speed. I guess it has agility for that too, which is arguably better. But I don't know. I like my Trailblaze. I think it's a cool move. It also has extreme speed, which I know it's not really the best extreme speed user in the world with only 75 base attack, but frankly, I lacked really any priority on the team so far, so at the very least, it's something. Beyond that, yeah, that is... Suicune is just here to kind of patch up that water type. The hole in my team where a water type was supposed to be, which it now is. It's another very, very versatile defensive mon, which I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm kind of going for that theme on this team. But with that being said, I definitely needed something a little bit more offensive, something I can pivot around with as well as my next pick. So we went with Mienshao. I've been wanting to draft Mienshao for quite a while. I really, really like this mon. It's another mon that can hit on either the physical or special side. Of course, it's stronger by quite a lot on the physical side. But it does get things like Calm Mind and Aura Sphere and some pretty solid special moves kind of mixed in. So it's an option if I really need it. Most weeks this is obviously going to be coming as my a very offensive U-turn sort of mon. Switching in and out with Regenerator, getting very, very, very high damage close combats off, things like that. It's another mon though I can do kind of some relatively versatile setup stuff with, which I also love. It's also another knockoff user. It has Ice Spinner now, which is absolutely fantastic. It can be Swords Dance, it can be Bulk Up, I can run Taunt on it if I need to. It's another Trailblaze mon, just for the funnies. Yeah, bottom line, there's just a lot that Mienshao can do. And it's something a little bit speedier, a little bit more heavy hitting, which this team is definitely lacking. Especially speed-wise, like my fastest mon prior to this I think, is my Kirem at base 95, which isn't great. So this gives me a nice speed tier kind of after that, sitting at 105. Speaking of speed, I definitely needed to get something much, much faster for a bit of speed control, and just to spread even more damage around. We went Noivern again. I drafted Noivern in the CDC. It has been an absolutely incredible mon for me. I love Frisk. I love Infiltrator. This is also one of my Terra mons. This is Terra Normal. It is Terra Dragon and Terra Fire. Same thing I ran over in the CDC. Terra Normal Boon Burst is obvious for that one. Fire just so it can hit steel types. It's a very, very nice offensive mon that can also do some pretty neat things for like utility and like support. Like, I've run Tailwind on it before. I've obviously run Taunt on it before. It gets Super Fang, which is really, really cool for breaking like a really bulky team I don't have a solid answer to otherwise. It gets Psychic Noise now, which is absolutely incredible. Something to stop healing and things like that. It gets Switcheroo. Like, there are so many incredibly useful things Noivern can do, as well as being a pretty competent offensive threat, and obviously another pivot as well, so. Also, my other defogger. I do lack a spinner on this team, but I think with 2 defog options, I'm not that worried about it. Obviously, if I want this to be a defogger, it is kind of stuck into running boots that week, but I don't think that's the biggest deal. Obviously, I don't love running boots, but I don't hate running boots. Not a Noivern anyway. But yeah, so as my last couple of mons, I decided I wanted to kind of patch a couple of holes in speed tiers, or really a hole in speed tiers, you'll see in a moment. And there's something else that has some try that again. Something else that has more support options. Another thing that can run screens that isn't one of my main sweepers. Something that can spread paras around, things like that. Just something to be basically a nuisance. And the mon of choice for that was Tinkaton. Tinkaton has a pretty respectable speed stat for a mon that's meant to be kind of like more bulky support oriented at 94. It's not the greatest speed tier on the team because it's literally a point below Kirem, so it doesn't do anything for me there. But it is beautiful speed control, as it can pretty reliably throw off Thunder Waves. Also another rocker for me, so I'm not locked into Tinglu or having to bring rocks onto Krozma every single week. Beyond that, it's another relatively versatile mon. Obviously, it doesn't hit super, super hard with anything that's not Gigaton Hammer specifically. But if I really want to, I can run Swords Dance on it. I can run Screens. It also has Fake Out for another form of like kind of sort of priority. It has Encore now as well, which is fantastic. So it is primarily here just to kind of be a support buddy for the rest of the team. And last but very not least, I had exactly 4 points left at this point in the draft. And I noticed I still lacked a grass type to kind of fill out my Fire, Water, Grass core. And I was looking, I was like, none of these low tier, like the super low point grass types are super great. I thought about Sceptile, but a little mid without like a reliable mon to set up Unburden with, which sure, I have Guizing, but it's not going to do anything all that crazy, I don't think. And then I saw it. A mon that is arguably still far worse than Sceptile, but one that I thought would just be kind of funny. So we drafted Meganium. Obviously, Meganium is a Terra Captain. It is Terra Grass, Fairy, and Fire. Getting rid of its pure Grass typing with its pretty respectable bulk with base 80 HP and 100 in both defenses lets it actually do something in the game. I can run like a Leech Seed set. It has Knockoff. It's another option for screens. Realistically, if I really wanted to, I could do a Swords Dance Trailblaze set with it. I don't know why I would necessarily. It would be kind of funny, I suppose. But definitely not like the goal. I don't know how often Meganium will actually come, but I do think it's actually a pretty useful piece on the team with things like Leech Seed and another phase option with Dragon Tail. As counter, like there's a lot of like kind of niche things that Meganium can do. And I cannot talk today. I do see myself bringing it at least like once or twice. So yeah, definitely kind of a meme. Definitely kind of a meme. But I think it has a place. I think it could be legitimately useful on the team. So it's coming along. And that is that's my draft for the GWA. Thank you guys for watching. Obviously, the week 1 battle is already up, and I'm pretty sure the week 2 battle will also be up around the same time as this one. So Appreciate you guys for watching. Hope you'll stick around and cheer me on with my weird, really, really bulky team. Oh, man. It's going to be interesting for sure. Have a good one, everybody.